Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending the webinar tonight on the LA waterfront and the development of the West Harbor. My name is Janet McLeod, and I'm co-president of the League of Women Voters of Palos Verdes Peninsula, which serves San Pedro as well. The League of Women Voters is an organization which is celebrating its 103rd anniversary this year, in the same year that women achieved the right to vote. The legacy of the League is on voters' rights, impartial candidate forums before elections, and in-depth studies in order to make democracy work. Our efforts are tied to legislation which affect the lives of our local, state, and national platforms. Tonight, our program is under a category called Education and Advocacy. For a few years now, our members have chosen to follow the activities at the LA waterfront. This webinar is a result of that choice. If you're interested in knowing more about our programs, please go to our website at www.lwvpalosverdes.org. And of course, we always welcome new members. Now I would like to introduce Katie Watkins, who will handle the questions at the end of the presentation.
Thank you, Nancy.
Just a few instructions to the attendees. You will be in listening mode only. The chat icon on the bottom of your screen has been disabled and is not available. If you want to make comments or questions, use the Q&A button on the bar at the bottom of your screens towards the right along the bar. Type in your question, press send, or hit return on your keyboard. These questions will be read aloud by Katie Watkins. Next, I would like to introduce our speaker tonight, Michael Galvin, who has worked at the Port of LA since 2004. He is currently the director of the waterfront and commercial real estate at the Port of Los Angeles. The Port of Los Angeles is a landlord's seaport covering 7,500 acres of land and water with more than 200 leaseholders. In this role, Michael is responsible for the development and management of the Port's LA waterfront, including commercial development opportunities, cruise passengers, commercial fueling, recreational marinas, hotels and restaurants that create public access to the Port's expansive waterfront amenities. Michael also oversees the Port's energy business and related marine terminals, which support regional refinery operations, LAX aviation fuel logistics, the San Pedro Bay bunker fuel market, and advancement in renewable fuels required to create the zero-emission port of the future. Michael graduated in U.S. history from UC San Diego and received his Juris Doctor from Western State University of Law in 2015. He is also a licensed attorney and a real estate broker in the state of California. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Michael Galvin.
Thank you, Janet. I appreciate the great introduction there, and thankful to be part of this meeting tonight and be able to present on all the amazing things that are going on in the LA waterfront. I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. There it goes. Okay, great. Thank you. So, yeah, thank you for the introduction. And we've been working on redevelopment of the LA waterfront for several decades. But I've been in this role at the Port of LA since 2014, really focusing real estate up on redevelopment of the waterfront to become a serving destination for the entire region, the state, and international visitors as well. And we have a variety of new developments coming up that are going to be very interesting for locals and international and domestic visitors alike. And the LA waterfront's made up of about 400 acres of property that's been industrialized by the port, 8 miles of waterfront, most of which is in the community of San Pedro, but a small portion is in Wilmington, and there is some significant acreage in Wilmington that has been deindustrialized and is being and has been turned into open space. Let's see. Okay. The West Harbor development is really the central core of the LA waterfront, and this is on the former Ports of Call site in San Pedro. It's on a 40-acre land parcel that is adjacent to the Port's main channel, which makes it extremely unique in waterfront developments in California, being the only major waterfront development that is along a commercial channel of a major port, and not just a major port, but the largest container port in the country. And the LA, Port of LA has been that for the last 20 years. So extremely unique development opportunity that allows those visitors to come in, be able to see the waterfront, be able to see the commercial activities of the port. Very unique promenade that has been built and will continue to be built along this development. The development changes the Ports of Call original development. This is the second generation of development that happened there in the 1960s into something that is much more water facing and provides a large promenade 30 feet wide that goes from the existing Maritime Museum to the point where the Anchorage fueling station used to be. Like I said, it's about a mile of waterfront, a mile of promenade that will be built when this is all complete. Over half that promenade is built already. And we're in the last phase of the promenade. We actually took in bids today to complete the remaining portions of the promenade. The port has been in the process of preparing this site for development since 2012, when we put out a request for proposal for the site, and we entered into a contract San Pedro Public Market with the development known as West Harbor with a lease in 2016. And so we've been working hard since 2016 to prepare the site, which includes removing the existing tenants, which we are done with. We've taken possession of all of the site at this point. There are some tenants that are still moving out, but will be physically out of the property within the next week. And that provides us the opportunity to build the promenade that I spoke of, that you can see in this picture, and really provides an opening front to the community and visitors at large, and a different unique experience than was in the original Ports of Call, where you had to go into the village or you had to go into a specific restaurant to really get up on the water's edge. Here, you don't have to go into anything except for onto a public walkway to walk through this entire event. So a very different experience, and has been there historically. Development West Harbor. This site plan, just to show what is going to be built here, and it's approximately 170,000 square feet that will be built in 3 separate buildings. Phase 1A is being constructed right now. Phase 1B will come after that, and 1C to follow. There's also an area called North Park, which is more of an open area that is going to have larger format open space tenants that are going to have small food and beverage operations that are adjacent to large areas of open space. That could be one idea is a dog park called Bark Social, where you can go have food and beverage, have your dogs play at the same time in a controlled dog park area. Another one is called Pig and Pickle, which is basically a pickleball court that is existing next to a food and beverage facility. So these are large formats, really taking advantage of the large space there in the park, and then you get into denser development as you get into the phase 1C, 1B, 1A area. In the southern part, there's also a planned outdoor concert venue that you see there on the south end, near where my cursor is, if you all can see that. And that is intended to be ranging in size from 4,600 person capacity to 6,200 person capacity. So similar in size to the Greek Theater, and the developer has an existing partnership with Niederlander Events, which manage and operate the Greek Theater for many decades in Hollywood. So great opportunity there to bring more people down the waterfront seasonally. It's an outdoor venue, so it will only be open in the spring and summer. but an opportunity to bring more types of activities down to the water's edge. That is going through an environmental impact report as we speak. The rest of this project has already been titled through California Environmental Quality Act. This is a representation of the different tenants that will, these tenants have all signed long-term leases with the developer. So from top left across, Mike Hess Brewing will take on a large portion of the 1A building and will be a microbrewery along with food and beverage. Hopscotch is an interactive commercial developer that brings different types of ticketed attractions that are art focused along with food and beverage onto the waterfront. Yamishiro's is a long-term icon in the city of Los Angeles with their first store in Hollywood up on the hill, and it has been there for decades and decades and decades. This is the second store that they will open. The Window and Mario's are providing hamburgers and a deli offering. Sugar Factory is an international brand that is, what I call it Chuck E. Cheese on steroids. Provides for all kinds of party activities during the day for adults and youth, and then at night turns into a nightclub. Poppy and Rose and Pitfire Pizza are local brands that are that have a couple stores open within Southern California. Marfuku Ramen, another brand with a couple stores open in Southern California. Park Social, I mentioned. Jaybirds, you always have to have fried chicken joint. Kings and Queens will be Mexican variety food. Harbor Breeze is the existing cruise operator down there at the waterfront, and they'll be providing sport fishing, whale watching, and other harbor cruises. All the crepes and baked bear, something more on the sweet side for everybody. So there's a wide variety of food and beverage tenants that will be occupying that middle section with other entertainment purposes on the north side of the project. But these are some depictions of what it's going to look like, and you can see those wide open spaces on the promenade side really opening into those restaurants. The restaurants will all be situated on what they call a plinth, which is about 3 feet above the promenade, which provides good viewpoints over the promenade to the main channel and the waterfront. This is a Yamashiro restaurant space, a sugar factory space. All of the building typology is very focused on trying to create industrial warehouse space that is prominent or was prominent within the port at some point. So to give it that industrial feel that the rest of the port has as well. In the North Park area, you can see those larger format spaces that will include open areas, including Bark Social and Pig and Pickle. So moving on from there, another tenancy that has been long in the works with the Port of Los Angeles since 2013, when we entered into a long-term lease with Alta-Sea, is this nonprofit development that the Port has partnered with. The Port is a heavy investor in this, in the neighborhood of $40 million in capital improvements that will go to the Alta-Sea program, and significant rent concessions that the Port is making to create this campus on the waterfront that will really foster ocean industries in the areas that we have not really focused on at the Port historically. So this is to focus on different types of scientific technology and coming in. This involves exploration through which is both sourcing of different oceans, such as deriving hydrogen from ocean water and sequestering carbon, to driving wave energy out of the ocean, to wind energy out of the ocean, developing aquaculture of Southern California, which a business that has a lot of room to looking at house about 100 years ago, and in that campus development that run the gamut from UCLA to USC to Southern California Marine Institute, really with the focus here being merging research and development that's happening on the educational level, letting that spin into commercialization, and in the end creating significant amount of jobs on the LA waterfront. Built up, this 180,000 square foot warehouse is expected to provide 800 to 1,000 jobs. And so a huge opportunity to really build the economic base here in the Port of Los Angeles. So a different opportunity than ports of call, but we see it all working as an ecosystem to build up the LA waterfront into a vibrant commercial development and visitor serving destination. Okay, some illustrations of what the inside of these warehouses are going to look like in the future. And this development has started. Also see the process of finishing a solar project that is in an installation mode, going onto their new roof that they put on there. They've started to restore the insides of these buildings, and we'll enter into a larger contract to complete that adaptive reuse for all these buildings later on this month. So we expect most of this work will be completed in the next year and a half, and the warehouses inside will look like this in that time. Significant improvement from what they look like today, but really using this amazing and unique warehouse space that is adjacent to 2,000 linear feet of water that is extremely close to the open ocean to allow these new industries to come in and to really flourish here in the Port of Los Angeles. A new development that we've been working on since 2018 is negotiation with Cabrillo Partners here for about the last 3 years. There's been a little bit of a hiccup for all of our developments through the COVID pandemic period as commercial development financing dried up, and many were making sure that their existing businesses were short with new opportunities. But we are back running forward with this, hoping to close a transaction here in the next year or so. And this is an existing marina that the port has. We will be selling this marina, the marina assets anyways in the business, to this developer, Cabrillo Partners, which is made up of Bellwether Financial Group, which is out of Orange County, and R.D. Olson, also out of Orange County. R.D. Olson is a large developer of hotels throughout Southern California. So we have a good partner here. Bellwether Financial Group also owns Marine, which is one of the largest marina contractors in the world. And so happy to have a very well vetted and seasoned development team here. And their plan is to build a variety of commercial buildings that will augment the marina itself, create a marina club that is equal to a yacht club, but it serves all of the occupants of the marina with food and beverage and other amenities, including pool, activity space. They're planning on building 2 hotels on the site. One will be in this area right here under number 5, and one will be in this area right here over number 1 and 2. There'll be commercial space built throughout, and there'll be some improvements to the marina that exists today as well. So we have some renderings of what that might look like in the future. You can see the hotel building right here and another smaller hotel building right here. All in all, I think just under 200 total hotel rooms there with different economic offerings, a little higher end out here, Peninsula, a little lower end here on the other side of 22nd Street. An opportunity to come down the waterfront. You can see the Marina Club building that is situated back here, large outdoor deck there. And these are a variety of buildings that are supporting the hotel along the promenade that was built over 10 years ago by the port when we built this marina. Just another perspective there of the corner of well, it's actually 3 streets coming together: 22nd Street, Dave Arian Way, and Minor Street. And in the distance there is Alta Sea. You can see those warehouses across the channel behind the way to where that hotel building is. Another big development happening on the LA waterfront is a boatyard. This is being developed by Bellwether Financial Group, so the same one of the joint venture partners from the adjacent marina. And this is really important because surprisingly, the port does not have a large-scale boatyard within our confines, and neither does the whole San Pedro Bay. And so if you have a large vessel, whether it's recreational or commercial, you have to go out of the area that is on Terminal Island, but nothing for recreational boats. And this facility will be able to service 99% of the recreational boats that are registered in the state of California. So the ability to take on very large scale boats here and to provide an amenity that brings in larger boats and activity to the LA waterfront, along with the cruise and economic investment that comes with that. So we're excited about that and working forward to get this moving in the next year and beginning the sequel process on that. Down in Wilmington as well, we have a Wilmington Waterfront Promenade that is under construction right now. That's about a $71 million project. That's recreating the waterfront in Wilmington, adjacent to Banning's Landing. Construction is supposed to be complete May, maybe a little bit past that, June or July of this summer, but looking forward to opening that first portion of the Wilmington Waterfront that will then connect into the Avalon Pedestrian Bridge project, which will then connect into Avalon and Harry Bridges, really reconnecting Wilmington to its historic waterfront through the historic commercial core on Avalon Boulevard. And we've made this happen through a property swap between us and the Department of Water and Power. That is the Wilmington Waterfront Promenade project that is being built out now, just adjacent to the existing community center at Banning's Landing. And there will be a bridge coming off of through, it does not extend, which I'll show you in a second, and really facilitating all this open space activity that will happen along Wilmington's new promenade, that will have areas for commercial space, and will have a new commercial boat landing here adjacent to Banning's Landing, a waterfront promenade, steps that go down into the waterfront to show the tide coming up and down, a picnic pier that is publicly accessible, and a future Wilmington Youth Aquatic Center there on the west side of this development. This is construction. This picture was taken some time ago now, over a year ago, and so much has been completed here. And you can see that tank that you saw in the renderings is now gone and ready to move on to the next stage of the development. The Avalon Pedestrian Bridge will then connect this development up into the Avalon Promenade and Gateway project, which will then connect into Avalon and Harry Bridges, as I mentioned. So when you come down Avalon and Wilmington 5 years from now, looking into tanks, port area, there'll be open space, an iconic bridge that will connect down into the Wilmington waterfront. And you can see the area of that tank that's been moved. Other development opportunities that are coming up in the near future, Warehouse 1 is going to go through the development solicitation process this year. And we've been working hard to get that moving once Alta-C got its legs under it. Warehouse 1 is an adjacent facility that will provide all kinds of commercial development opportunities. The Outer Harbor Cruise Terminal is yet another development adjacent to the Cabrillo Way Marina development, and that is intended to augment the existing cruise business we have today in the LA waterfront that is at the existing Inner Harbor Cruise Terminal, with a new terminal in the Outer Harbor ready to take on the largest ships that are in the marketplace today. Our cruise business has upticked about by 2 times since before the pandemic. So we have but has come back pretty significantly, thus now offering year-round cruising again for the first time since 2008. So we're excited about cruise business growing here and excited about the economic activity and tourism that fosters within the LA waterfront. And then we're also working on a development plan for the Wilmington marinas, marinas that have been there for almost 100 years and are in need of some pretty significant upgrades. So looking at how we long-term redevelop that area as we have done other marina areas in the San Pedro region. So that's the end of my presentation. I'm open to take any questions that anybody may have about the LA waterfront. And we're really excited to be able to present and answer questions today for this important group. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing.
Okay, we have some questions. First one is going to be, the DEIR indicated that fireworks might be used for 6 months of every year at the event venue. The environmental impacts from the fireworks, the noise, the toxic chemicals, the air pollution, and the water pollution, and harm to the marine animals are all serious. What is the current statute of fireworks? Has this been taken out of the plan?
I know that is a proposal, as is used at other event venues. It's going through the CEQA process right now, so I do not think it has been removed. It's something that is being assessed, and all of those issues that are concerning to the environment, including the air and water quality, will be assessed as part of that CEQA process, and there will be an opportunity for public comment on that. There was a notice of preparation that was released already where public comment was provided. There'll be a scoping meeting prior to the release of the draft DIR that will allow for more public comment. And then after the release of the draft, there'll be additional public comment allowed based on the final scope of work. But I do not think that the fireworks have been taken out of the scope as of yet.
All right, next question is, what plans do you have for reducing waste at these venues? There are many reuse options in the market today that eliminate single-use plastics. And is this part of the plan?
Yes, it is. The San Pedro Waterfront EIR had a comprehensive environmental assessment of the entire waterfront, and recycling is one of those things. But it's also something that we take very seriously at the Port of LA. We have our own policies around, and we implement those policies through best management practices and environmental compliance with each individual lease. And so they'll be held to the highest metric to make sure that everything that is possible to be recycled on those sites is being recycled.
Okay, can you tell us what have been the major challenges for the Port of LA in the development of the West Harbor?
Major challenges include the existing conditions of the site. So there have been different tendencies there over a long period of time. Being able to transition those tenants in a timely manner, being able to clean up the site adequately, because we've had a variety of industrial and commercial uses there over time that include fuel storage. And so preparing the site has been difficult. Changing the port strategy on how we deal with waterfront development and how we create a lease that is palatable for large financial institutions to lend money to our developers. And so the port has put significant money in ourselves and made that commitment. But to make this all work, developers have to be able to leverage their investment with other institutional investment. And so the fact that we were able to finally get $150 million in institutional investment and equity investment shows that it took a long time, but we were able to put all the right pieces together. And on top of all that, the COVID pandemic did not help anything. So that was a significant delay as well. So it's a myriad of factors. Things are always tough. If it wasn't tough, it would have been done a long time ago. But we've gotten through those issues, and we're in a really good place now with the developer having secured financing, having broken ground at the site, and looking to complete the first couple phases of their development by 2024.
Michael, are you able to turn on your video?
My video looks like it's on to me.
Ah. Okay.
Okay, next question. Does the port intend to do more to clean up discharge into their channels from stormwater runoff from the LA basin?
We do as much as we can. We have trash collecting devices that work around the port and that are operated by our construction and maintenance crews. They're also upstream. This has been controlled a lot better more recently in the last decade than has ever been the case. And so there are large booms upstream keeping waste out of the channel from coming into the port. So sequestering it upstream in the county flood control system and removing it before it comes down, and has been a big help for us, because the trash is not really coming from within the port. It's all coming from, not all, but I'd say 99% of it's coming from upstream. So controlling it at that location has been really critical. And that's been done much better by upstream agencies in the last 10 years.
Okay, next question. In 2021, poor air quality was one of the worst experienced in the Port of LA. What is the port doing to mitigate this problem?
Well, we constantly test the air. We have air quality monitoring devices at 4 different locations that have been up and running there for over 15 years. And so we make sure that we're aware of everything that's going on. There are different variables that happened in 2021. What had happened was we had a big backlog of cargo containers that were sitting offshore, not connected to alternative marine power like they are when they're in port, on board. and that created a bad air emissions issue. And what we did at the time was we worked directly with our shipping partners and made sure to find a better way to address that. So instead of having those ships sit directly offshore, we had them slow down across the ocean and stagger themselves well offshore, hundreds of miles offshore, in a way that did not allow that air quality issue to pool up within the Southern California region. So we were able to get at that issue really quickly once those ships did start to amass off of our shore and address that their air quality issue, which has improved considerably to the current day.
Okay, next question. These plans show a significant increase in traffic. What steps are being taken to mitigate the increased noise and pollution from the additional traffic?
What we're most concerned about is creating that traffic, because traffic creates economic activity. And so if we have more traffic, that's a good thing. How we mitigate that traffic and make sure it's not standing still and moving towards a point of rest is the key thing for us. So creating smooth transitions is really important. We've done that already by changing the entire intersection at 7th Street and Harbor Boulevard. Harbor Boulevard used to go sort of on the upper tier of a bluff out to our harbor area. Now Harbor Boulevard at 7th Street drops down into the West Harbor development. And that was really important because historically Ports of Call, to get into it, you had to come in, turn left on 6th Street, and then right into Ports of Call. That created a massive bottleneck that sometimes went all the way back onto the 110 freeway and the bridge. So by smoothing out that intersection and creating direct access into Harbor Boulevard that goes right through the West Harbor development, we have created much traffic easing in that area. The next big is the 110 freeway or the bridge into the waterfront area. The I-47 interchange there right now crosses industrial and commercial traffic. What I mean by that is that you have truck traffic coming off, going to the terminals that are there in Central and Wilmington, and you have commercial traffic coming off looking to either go home or go to visit waterfront attractions like West Harbor, the USS Iowa, the cruise terminal, etc. The new interchange all to the north of the bridge, all traffic going south to the south of the bridge, so you won't have that crossing of those two traffic streams, and that will ease significantly traffic coming off the bridge. We have had backups in the last 6 months when the cruise terminal is operating at a very high capacity because multiple ships are in, and there is upset at one of the container terminals. So that project, which is due to start in the next 12 months, will alleviate a bit of that. We are having, in these projects a long period of time to make sure that when our new developments do open up, that the increased traffic, which we expect and are counting on, is eased and allowed to get in and out quickly.
Okay, it kind of a related question would be parking. I know you've got the traffic coming in, and then parking is a problem in San Pedro. With the development of the West Harbor, what assistance will the port offer to provide adequate public parking?
Parking is another issue that with parking demand comes success of the overall commercial development. So we're looking to increase the amount of parking needed and hoping to have a bigger parking demand out of the waterfront area. Existing right now is about 2,000 or 1,600 spaces that's existing in the Ports of Call development. There's another area across Harbor Boulevard that provides for another 400 spaces. The Ports of Call developer has entitlements to build stack parking as well along the bluff there, which is west of their development on the west side of Harbor Boulevard. On top of that, the port is intending to develop about a 1,900 parking lot space down at 22nd Street in between existing Minor Street and Harbor Boulevard. That's existing parking that is currently providing about 300-400 spaces that is going to be densified and turned into almost 2,000 spaces. So we're hoping that the collection of all that parking will address some of these short-term parking needs. In the future, we will have to have densified stacked parkings at strategic locations, especially the Outer Harbor Cruise Terminal is built and significant growth occurs there. But we have a plan in place now to address parking issues in the next 5 years, and then we'll continue to take it as it comes as the waterfront.
And as a follow-up to that, is it all going to be free parking, or is it parts of it going to be paid?
No, the future of the waterfront will include paid parking. The fact that we have free parking today is a nice amenity, but something that will probably not last. The developers will charge for parking, and the developers will expect that the port also charges for parking on our lots to make sure that they are able to capitalize on their investment. And it's very rare to have free parking in and around a waterfront area. And so that's something that will transition over the course of the next 5 years as well.
Okay, the sketch showed solar panels over the parking area. Is that the plan? And
Yes.
are other places, other solar panels going to be used?
There are solar panels that are scattered throughout the port. We have about 12 megawatts of solar capacity that has been installed on various roofs and various parking lots. Their Catalina Express lot is one lot that is representative of that, that has been covered with solar panels. Some of our marina lots have been covered with solar panels. Alta Sea will have a big installation of solar panels on their roof, and the West Harbor development will have solar panels throughout their parking lot as well.
Okay, we have another question about the transportation and traffic. What about buses, trains, bike lanes to help reduce traffic and pollution? Could these be given a priority? And is a direct line from LAX to the cruise lines another way to reduce traffic?
It sure is. Any way we can get people on mass transit, that is all beneficial. There is a silver line that serves the harbor area and goes to downtown Los Angeles, but we are definitely open to having more discussions. And I was just speaking about that at a Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors meeting this week about working with the airport and the tourism board in Los Angeles to look at getting better connection to LAX. So definitely a critical component of what we're looking at the waterfront. We are in the process of producing a connectivity plan. And this is basically re-looking at everything transportation-wise that we have done in the waterfront dating back to before the 2009 EIR. So taking a fresh relook 15 years later after many of these projects have been built, some of them have not been built, some of them will never be built, new ones have come as well, and trying to figure out a way to connect all the pieces internally and also connect better to the local communities and the regional transportation network. So something that our connectivity plan that is being developed by SWA architects right now is going to definitely look deeply into and give us a good game plan for how we will invest in future traffic and intermodal type of traffic options for those that want to come down to the waterfront, either park and walk, park and ride down to the waterfront, or take public transit. We're looking to make sure that those that want to take any mode down here can find their way around the waterfront in different modes of transportation as well, going into the future, along with continuing to utilize the local business improvement district's rubber tire trolley system, which has been very helpful and I think can grow in the future to service both the needs of downtown San Pedro, the larger region, or the local region, and the LA waterfront.
All right. Next question. You may have answered this before, but some of the time you were breaking up. So one of our participants is asking, when do you anticipate completion of major buildings in the port?
So West Harbor is going to complete their first two phases beginning in 2024. So we're expecting that, I believe, late 2024 and for phase 1A. Phase 1B will be soon thereafter, hopefully in early 2025. I know at Alta Sea, we expect that to be complete, the 180,000 square feet of adaptive reuse warehouse space in mid 2024. So those are the big developments that we're working on right now. Other pieces of development are still going through the environmental assessment process, and so I don't have direct schedules on each one of those just yet.
Okay, on an entirely different topic. Assuming that the event amphitheater goes forward through CEQA, Will there be a limit on the bulk sale of event tickets to cruise ship companies so that the general public, for example, San Pedro residents, will not be shut off?
That's a question for the developer themselves. I couldn't tell you exactly how they're planning. I don't think they're that far ahead yet to answer that question. I think those are potentially good problems to have in the future if there's that much of a demand. But I think they're intending to serve the local market, and you got to remember that cruise ships are really in on the weekend, and people come in maybe for a day before to use them, but there will be shows during the week throughout the good weather season in the summer. So hopefully there will be opportunities for everyone to participate in that. And I don't know that they have specific plans to sell bulk to cruise ships at this point. I have not heard of that anyways.
Okay, if the person who asked the question wanted to contact the developer, how would she do that to get that question answered?
The best place to contact is they can send me they could send me an email and I could connect them directly with the developer.
Okay, fine. Let's see, I have one more question on wait a minute, I'm gonna go back and find it. Okay, this is again on plastics and renewal. That's a big subject for the league these days and a lot of people. So the question is, recycling is not the same as reuse. Eliminating single-use plastic items and requiring reuse is the way to help us move to a healthier world. Your project could make a significant positive impact if reuse was required. I'm assuming the questioner means in the food industry, the food places, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we're using best management practices requirements within the leases, and they have to adhere to whatever the other city. And so those are the requirements that they have. I don't know that there's a specific reuse, but there are definitely many regulations within Southern California, within Los Angeles, that don't allow, for example, the use of plastic straws and other type of single-use containers. And so all those regulations will apply to them being in the city of LA and on city property.
Okay, I have no more questions in the queue. If someone has a question, would they type it in now? Otherwise, we will close it down. All right, doesn't look like anybody else is coming up. All right, Janet, turn it over to you.
Okay. On behalf of the League of Women Voters in our audience, I would like to thank Michael for his interesting and informative PowerPoint presentation and his time. We will all have a greater understanding of the Port of LA and their goals, and we look forward to hearing more as the developments continue to grow the community. Special thanks to Katie Watkins for handling the questions and Nancy Marr for organizing the webinar. And thanks to the leaguers who made this possible, and thank you all who attended. With that, we will close the webinar. Good evening.